I am what you made me. You got to do a Vader quote on this one.
You got to. You got to do a Vader quote. Welcome back to Star Wars, guys. As always, we are your hosts.
I'm just looking at your reflection.
Nate.
It looks great in person, but even better when you look at the monitor.
Mike, Nate, and you know him well. Uncle is out. He's out today.
He's just out of frame. He's sitting there. You just can't see him.
Yeah, we just put him out of frame. He's out
here
for today's cast, but he'll be back next week. So
I was gone 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And Uncle's gone.
And it's only right that I'm gone next week.
All I'm saying is I'd watch your back.
Yeah. Well,
Jedi are dropping like flies nowadays.
Yeah,
it's not an old Ben quote. I don't know why I use that voice.
The Jedi are dropping like flies these days.
now it's Lando. Well. Hello, I'm Freck. I can't wait to talk about Freck.
All right. Let's get into
Part 3, Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah.
This is the third episode we did. This is our second of these Obi-Wan Kenobi reviews because the first, our first episode of it last week, which was only a few days ago based on just the release times, covered the first 2 parts of Kenobi because they were released at the same time. And now Part 3, and boy, do we have a lot to cover.
We got a lot to cover. Part 3. So with that said, if you are tuning in, don't forget to like, subscribe, and join in on the chat while we're live. Join in on the chat. Feel free to engage in the conversation and be a part of the live show, the live podcast. So
please,
let's get after it. Overall thoughts. We usually start like this. Overall thoughts on the episode. What'd you think?
Oh, boy. This episode, Part 3 of Obi-Wan Kenobi, may be my favorite. It's hard because we've said this about different things, but I in this moment can't think of an episode of Star Wars television that I think I would currently rank on my list higher than this one.
Really?
That is how much.
That's saying a lot because we liked some of those Boba and Mando episodes.
Well, also I think Part 1 of Obi-Wan Kenobi, I would say coming into midnight last night when I watched the episode. Before this previous episode that we're talking about tonight, I would have probably ranked the first episode of Obi-Wan as maybe my current number 1. It's up there. It's definitely up there with the best of Mando stuff. Some of the best. We love Book of Boba Fett as well. But this was a culmination of almost 20 years. I almost went Vader there. 20 years.
Young Skywalker.
I mean, filmed like in 2003. Revenge of the Sith came out 2005. But this is Revenge of the Sith 3.5. Part first half maybe
part
or something.
1, 2,
because
3.
as we'll discuss, there is a crazy amount that happened in this episode that I did not expect to get so soon. And then also where it leaves off has maybe some people are thinking like, oh, I expected something else or something more or something. And we'll get into that discussion because we believe there's a lot more even on that topic coming later. But overall, absolutely loved it. This is an episode that I watched immediately. Again, our time. It came out like 2 a.m.
Yeah.
Watched and then immediately rewound to like that 20-minute remaining mark and watched the whole thing again immediately at 2 a.m., which usually, if it's that late, even if I love the episode, I'm like, oh, I love it. Maybe I'll watch a couple of minutes here, and I'm like, I'm exhausted. I'll rewatch again in the morning, but it's just so late.
Yeah.
I don't know if I could sleep.
I can't sleep after that. I'm up on Twitter. I'm tweeting. I'm watching other people tweet. Everyone freaking out. I can't sleep after these episodes.
So you heard mine. Your overall feelings, I think. How do you feel about the episode?
Here's the thing. It's Star Wars, so naturally, it could be the greatest piece of television or TV media we've ever seen. There's always going to be haters. So of course we see that. We see there's haters. But that said, I saw some people posting this. I saw a video in particular posting about this. I couldn't agree more. I just couldn't agree more.
What did they post? What is she proposing?
Obviously, we like movies. Obviously, we like shows. We like to do reviews and give our take. And we try to not be bias. Whether just Star Wars aside, everything. We watch a lot of
Well,
movies,
we should.
shows.
Full disclosure, we do have to give these movies and shows positive reviews because of the money that Disney
That's
directly
true because
puts into
all
our
the money,
pockets.
the
How
mouse
could we
is giving
afford
us.
this nice studio
Yeah,
without the
right.
Disney shill money we
Right.
get? No, I'm just kidding.
No.
We get nothing from Disney other than great content.
Other than
Continue.
claiming copyrights on our videos. No, just kidding.
That's true. Other than videos taken down and merch that will never see the
Just
light of day.
But with that said, there's something about this show that I'll just be honest with you.
Oh,
This
boy.
show could go up in flames, no pun intended, for this episode. This show could go up in flames and be absolutely terrible. And I mean, I don't think it will because obviously I'm loving it so far. But I would still absolutely love this show. It's Ewan McGregor, the characters, diving into his thoughts. See, here's the thing: some people just want action, action, action. Oh, the first episode didn't give me Vader and Kenobi fighting on Mustafar again. Well, I hate this show. Here's the thing: I love
Not what I expected
diving in.
we would get
Right? Didn't
either.
expect it.
Yeah.
So some people are just dying for these like crazy backflips, all the crazy stuff, right?
Dying or Dayu?
Yeah, both.
Ooh.
But I loved when we heard the news that this was going to be more like a Joker, Logan getting into the character of
Character-driven.
Obi-Wan Kenobi, figuring out his mindset, figuring out the trauma he's dealing with. I think in the little dialogue, because he hasn't had a ton of dialogue. He's quiet, he's reserved, but his acting, his emotion has portrayed so much of what is actually going on with him, the thoughts that are going on, seeking out
You're talking about with
Qui-Gon.
Obi-Wan?
Yeah, with Obi-Wan.
Mhm.
Seeking out Qui-Gon for assistance, seeing if he's there. It's like he's trying to latch onto just any sort of hope. And it's just, I just love diving into the mindset and the mentality of what the character's going through. I love it. I love it.
I love it too. I love the style of storytelling. We've talked about this multiple times on our podcast, on this show that you are currently watching. We talked about how both Mando and especially I would say even Book of Boba Fett. Mando kind of I think varies from season 1 to season 2, and as they said at Star Wars Celebration, Jon Favreau talked about it being intentional, about how Mando season 1 was intentionally supposed to be this very slow burn. Tone poem style storytelling always with the intention of then starting small, focused on this character, man without a name, and his relationship with this child that he finds, and then that it would explode into the larger galaxy. That is actually what Favreau said, which makes sense because that's what season 2 feels like. Season 2 of Mando definitely feels like, okay, now it's connecting to the larger picture a lot more. It's connecting to other Mandalorians, other characters we're familiar with, like Bo-Katan and
Ahsoka and Luke.
Ahsoka, the Darksaber, all of these things that are going on. Boba Fett. And then the Book of Boba Fett is similar as far as it tells its style. It's very specifically Jon Favreau's style of storytelling. This kind of slow burn character, character driven, but it's not character driven in the same way this Obi-Wan show is. It's different as far as it's kind of point of view character. We learn a lot about them. They go through talking about Book of Boba Fett. Boba goes through a journey, as does Mando, but then there's different people they run into along the way. This story,
You know what it is?
I was almost done here.
Okay, go ahead.
No,
Go ahead.
I'm just kidding. What were you gonna say?
Finish.
Oh, I was just gonna say. By the way, that was completely kidding. We don't fight like this. When we fight, we use
We
sabers.
fist fight.
Oh,
Oh.
if you use your
Sabers.
fist and I use my saber, I like my chances. We're gonna have a Reva situation here. Hands first, and the hands just going off. That way, each time you reach for something, you think of us. That's my Reva impression. I've really worked on it. But the Obi-Wan Kenobi series so far, I'm loving it because it feels like it's appropriately titled Part 1, Part 2, Part 3, because it feels like this one continuous story of this.
Yeah.
It feels like a giant film that's been broken up into parts, that literally this episode ends on an actual cliffhanger, which we don't always get a lot in Star Wars, of this, girl kidnapped, and it goes black, and it's like, oh, what's going to happen?
Yeah.
You got to tune in. So I love that because that's very pulpy, very old school. That's very much plays to the Flash Gordon style of storytelling that George Lucas loved originally. It feels like the old time the old time shows of like, will Obi-Wan recover after his burns, and will they get young Leia away from the clutches of evil Reva? Find out next week on Obi-Wan. So I love this, and it has one clear singular vision, obviously, with Deborah Chow directing the whole thing, multiple writers attached to it, but I just love the feel of this show. And then also, I think the actors and the performers are just doing a fantastic job.
Yeah.
And it's something, though, that we've been waiting for. The reason I was talking about Revenge of the Sith and when it came out, this is something that we have dreamt of like, oh, what happened during this time period for Obi-Wan? And then whenever there was news of, well, maybe he had this other encounter with Vader. While I think that there will be more encounters with Vader, I don't think that's the last we saw of it. Actually seeing him post Revenge of the Sith have an encounter with Vader, have lightsabers, have words exchanged was just crazy. I remember just watching it last night. One, feeling like I'm watching a horror film, like Michael Myers.
Oh, yeah, we'll get into that.
It was so much that I was just like, could not believe what I was watching. I was so excited. And it just also happened way sooner than I thought it was going to be. I didn't think we were going to get a ton of Vader this episode. I thought there would be a little bit of glimpses here or there.
I thought we'd get him suiting up, and then it's like, okay, it ends, and like, okay, he's coming after him.
Yeah, exactly. I did not expect that
to start with that
we would get so much of him in part 3. We have 3 parts still left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And after seeing it, I think I understand why they're doing it. But I was going to say, I think the difference between those other shows and this show is this feels big galaxy. They're already jumping from planet to planet. We see, Tatooine, Alderaan. We go from planet to planet already. We see Inquisitorius. Like, we're seeing the droids get sent out. We're just seeing a lot of the galaxy already. So that it just feels bigger.
This is also very much Skywalker saga.
Right. Yeah.
There's no doubt about it. Like this feels also like it's part of the
exactly.
And again, we are all for and love Mandalorian, Book of Boba Fett, all of these things that are even Boba Fett's obviously even attached more to the that initial thread just because he's a legacy character. But we love these things that are veering off and starting and branching into their own, like the whole Mandoverse is kind of its own style of storytelling. This is different. This is not part of the Mandoverse. It's also not a film that came out that was directly tied to the Skywalkers in that way. This has baby Luke. This has baby Leia. Baby, they're 10 years old. 10-year-old babies.
Baby Luke.
They have. This is just very much, and it's not just a legacy character. But it has Hayden Christensen. It has Darth Vader himself, the villain of villains. Obviously, Palpatine may be the villain of villains as far as the most evil, but the scariest, most menacing
I was thinking
villain.
about that today.
Well, we'll talk about it. As far as I just mean that Vader is redeemed in the end, so he's not more evil than Palpatine.
No, I agree.
Where Palpatine wakes up and goes to the bathroom and just evil comes out.
I think it's interesting because actually, let's touch on. So let's do Vader. Let's just dive right into it.
Let's do Vader. Okay, you don't
know the power of the dark side.
Don't make me destroy you. Subscribe to the podcast and don't choke on your aspirations,
Admiral. But no. So let's just dive right into it. Let's everyone wants to hear Vader.
Our Vader
Obi-Wan.
impressions. We just did
Vader and Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
So what I was saying is, yes, Palpatine is the most evil intent, evil all around. There's just no part about him that's ever been good. Vader, I would say Vader's more feared.
Yeah, he's the unstoppable force.
Vader's more feared than Palpatine.
I think that also has to do with the fact that
still,
Palpatine's still way more behind the shadows, too.
He's way more behind the shadows, but he's also not. What the truth of Palpatine's behind the shadows, the face of a phony, emperor is not. That is to the public, and he makes announcements. He keeps people.
But Vader's out. Vader's again. Well, to a point, to a degree, because Vader during this time is not super well known across the galaxy. Right. But he's the one who actually shows, like, you don't see a lot of Palpatine showing up to go find, like, that's just almost beneath him. Where Vader is this wrecking shop of this Michael Meyer shop of horrors. I think what
made me think this, too, about Vader being so much more feared than Palpatine is this isn't the first time we've seen his presence of just cold and evil be felt the way it was when Obi-Wan leaned over because he felt his presence on the planet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We saw it in Rebels with Ahsoka. We hear Ezra say, "I'm cold," and it's just Vader's presence. You don't get that with Palpatine.
Yeah.
Palpatine suppresses his, like, he went through the whole Republic as, Chancellor, and no one sensed his dark side presence, everything. Now, you could say he suppressed that so that it was intentional so that no one could kind of sense that. But Vader is like, it's almost more menacing that he almost like enlightens it. Like he like highlights it. He boosts it. He doesn't try and hold back at all. He's like, you should sense my presence. It's that evil.
Well, and I think the differences between those two characters there's a lot of differences, but one of the biggest things is Vader is an emotional, unstoppable force who will react and lash out. Palpatine is very calculated. Palpatine is the master politician who doesn't overexpose himself because he doesn't want to get caught.
Right.
But is super powerful, super evil, but is the puppet master who's doing all these different things. Vader will look at you and just be like, "Did you look at me wrong? Snap your neck." Where like Palpatine doesn't do stuff like that. Palpatine doesn't walk through a village.
He'll say some words and taunt you and joke around.
Yeah, and then maybe hire an assassin, or he'll plot something to take out your entire planet. But Vader will literally, we'll get into it because I think this leads into one of the other big overall thoughts of this show. I know coming into Obi-Wan Kenobi, coming into the series, there was a lot of talk about how dark the show would be. And I know that there was some debate online because there were some headlines that came out. I can't remember what country it was. It may have been Australia or somewhere overseas. They came out with their rating for the show.
Yeah. And
it was rated lower as far as more kid friendly, like a lower age requirement than both Book of Boba Fett and Mandalorian. And people immediately, I heard some people, not we didn't even talk about it on our show because it wasn't that big of a deal, but I heard some people speculate and go, "Oh, dang, I thought this was going to be the darkest show, or I thought that with Vader, this would be really intense. We'd see him unleash, but now," and then there was a bunch of people who do what internet trolls do, and people going, "Oh, is Disney just going to Disney up Vader now, where now he's not as scary because they're not going to show him be violent, or they're going to cut around different things."
I think today answered that question.
This show, to me, by far, has already been the most adult of any of them. We have
Jedi.
This
episode.
Even going back, we have Jedi hanging in the street.
Yeah, true.
We have hands that they just show you chopping their hands off. Where they didn't cut away from that; they actually just show it
fall on the ground.
In this episode, the body that falls through the laser, they showed it and didn't have to. They showed it completely cut in half, and I went, "Whoa! I can't believe they showed that."
Yeah.
The person that they pull out, and then the child, and then the younger kid, kind of, or whoever it was, the second person that Vader is forced and just goes, snap his neck. And then you hear the bones crack and everything.
Continuing to my favorite part.
Dragging.
It sounds bad but I love you gotta love Vader. The Force dragging the lady's basically face just in the dirt, just like trying to hold back, but just dragging the body in the dirt.
This was easily the most afraid. It's great to say, as I'm almost 31 years old now, the most afraid I've ever been of Vader.
I saw so many people saying the same thing. I mean, he is hands down the most menacing villain of all time. Any show.
This again, such credit to Deborah Chow and the way. And again, I know there's a number of writers who worked on this, and there was a bunch of different iterations of this story going back to when it was going to be a film, and then a story, and then a show, and then rewritten a little bit. And throughout that, people were worried of would it get because there were reports that I think Kathleen Kennedy even maybe said something about initially the show was a little too dark, and that we wanted to make sure it still had this hope
at the end. Yeah.
But it does make me wonder now. My goodness, what was in the first? What was in the first iteration?
My
of this
guess
show?
is it didn't change much. I think they maybe just tweaked a little bit at the end. Is my guess.
Yeah, you mean just as far as leading into
even
a New
just
Hope and stuff?
Maybe not even
just
physical
pure
stuff,
despair.
but just changing a little dialogue or something to make Obi-Wan still seem a little hopeful at the end, or something like that.
Well, all this to say, and we haven't even gotten into the actual fire aspect of this either, because that comes in. But while I'm watching this, I kept thinking, whoa, I can't believe they showed that. Whoa. And then the way it's General Kenobi. Each time you cough, you just have to go into Grievous. It all
This guy.
It all connects to Kenobi. What I was gonna
All roads lead to Kenobi.
I was about to do it again.
This guy's dying.
Sorry,
on us.
I need our sponsor from today. No, it's not. It's not a
This
sponsor.
whole cough is a setup. Ghost energy.
That would be great. No, I was gonna say the whole setup of Vader, the way that's filmed. We've never seen Vader coming out of the shadows in ways that like where Obi-Wan
Man.
doesn't know where he is. Like the way that they filmed Deborah Chow.
Oh yeah.
The way
And
that
it's
she
still
directed
slow
this
walk.
and filmed it. Also, the way the sabers glow.
Dude, I
It's both-
tweeted about this.
It's both. It's very different from what we've seen in the past. It
is
looks
the
crisp. I
glow
think part of it
upgraded.
has to do with the fact that they are using they're using some practical lightsaber thing,
to get some
practical
more
lighting that
to get
gets-
some more real
that gets
lighting
stuff.
on the ground. Yeah.
But also because of that, I think it adds this great visual effect of it's these flashes of light. There's when you're looking because they kept going from showing Kenobi and then from his point of view.
Yeah.
Where it look and it's like because the
You see
lightsaber's
the
there, it
sabers
actually was almost
swing across. Yeah.
It was almost like it would illuminate this side of the room and then this, like not the room, but this side
Yeah,
of
it
the
made
stage
it look
and this
like
side.
it's
It's
so
like
bright in a
it's
dark
so, like-
room where it's like if the light's right in front of you,
then you
you
can
can't see what's behind it.
exactly. So
it's
because
like the
that
light's here and then it's like turns. And
it
you
felt
can't
like
see over here.
and
Yeah.
obviously this was intentional, but it felt like it limited our as the viewer our view of the full scope
Until
of
you
what's
just-
going on. I was like, I wanted someone to turn on the brights on their car so I could see what was going on. So I could see what was going on. But I loved it. I loved the way that because
Yeah.
I was like, he's coming out. He's going to, and then all of a sudden turn on. Whoa, and now he's just one-handed hacking at
How
him and
sick
everything.
was that?
And again, we'll get into all the specifics. We're already getting into all the Vader stuff, but
Yeah.
obviously one of the highlights, if not the highlight. We'll talk because there's other
I
highlights
think-
in this episode. A ton of other
Yeah.
highlights, but that Vader moment of actually seeing him.
I think one of my favorite
in that
moments.
fight was just awesome.
Yeah,
Incredible.
One of my favorite moments on the Vader thing was how intentional they were with his look staying true to the originals. You could tell. I mean, obviously they're doing their homework, but like the whole time of his walk, I don't know how much of it's Hayden Christensen actually in it. I don't really know.
I think
the
he's in
answer.
it a lot.
I was I was under the assumption he was, but I really don't know.
But it looked very, very,
Very
good.
original-esque Vader, stiff, walking straight. But one of my favorite parts in the entire episode was the Force sensitivity was shot almost identical to A New Hope when he feels Obi-Wan's presence in A New Hope. He's walking, and if you remember, it shows Vader in front, and he stops, and he tilts his head up to the side like this because it shows you he's not just looking straight because that would make you think someone's right in front of you. He stops, and he tilts his head up to the side, and it tells you, oh, he senses someone. And it's shot like just like A New Hope when he senses Obi-Wan then, too. And it's just, I love that because immediately I was like, oh, that's identical. That's so good.
Sticking with the Vader, we'll get all the Vader stuff out now since we're already down that road, and then we'll go through some other great highlights of the episode. But seeing the actual confrontation happen, as far as Vader going through the streets, he's taunting. He's just basically tempting Kenobi to come out. He's torching all these people.
As soon as he felt him, he just starts choking people.
I love the way that it overtakes Ben so much.
So much, yeah.
That's like he's like and like getting almost like weak and like
he's like, I had to see what this is.
And but when he finally sees him, and Obi-Wan quickly gets out of frame, you think, oh, did he get away? And then it cuts and Obi-Wan's sneaking off, and then he's got the saber. You're like, oh my gosh, he saw him. And then I love though that when I'm watching this, I'm thinking, Obi-Wan, get out of there, because you're not in fighting shape. You're not in tip top.
They made it obvious
shape.
within 2 seconds he's on the ground.
Well, even right away he decides first, because I'm
He's
like,
like, I
oh, he's
can't
gonna
fight.
ignite. He doesn't even ignite his saber at first. He goes,
Right, he thinks about it and goes, nope.
And then they come back, and then he full on ignites it, and now he's looking around. But it is like you can tell he's just rusty, and Vader is toying with him. and we don't know necessarily why until he start. I mean, we know that the relationship there, but we don't know what Vader's plans are until it keeps progressing, and we see him knock over
the coals,
the stuff out of that barrel, and I love lighting it with the saber. Lights it with the saber. And then talks about how this is just the beginning of feeling like the pain. I don't have the exact.
You will suffer.
And
it is your turn to suffer.
He's choking him, like holding him, and then
oh my gosh.
Dragging him through the fire. I never in a million years would have imagined
Obi-Wan dragging
that
he
fire. Would get Obi-Wan back. Well, I never thought about his mindset would be that when I get Obi-Wan, I don't want to just kill him. I need to torture him.
That's the easy way out.
Yeah. I never thought
all day today.
that. And then when he actually is dragging him through the fire, I'm like, oh my gosh. Yeah. I guess we've never seen old Ben with his robe off, or his arms just all completely burnt up. Although you got back to tanks. I want to stay on this because help you.
I was thinking about this a lot today. And of course, you see some people. I saw some criticisms like, "Oh, the fight wasn't that intense," all this stuff. Okay, so
I thought the fight was fantastic.
Thought the fight was phenomenal.
It was more than I thought we were going to get for this.
Way more than I thought. I thought we wouldn't even see them meet until the end of the season. That said, I do think we are going to get a more intense rematch.
Yeah,
by the end of this season. So this was very intentional.
Yep.
And I just want to say that it's obvious they wanted to show how dark and how evil Vader is and how strong he is by just walking through the town. And how he didn't even try in fighting against Obi-Wan. Didn't even try.
Yeah.
And just completely destroyed him. Obi-Wan, on the other hand, you could tell, extremely rusty, has no touch with the Force.
Yeah.
And immediately shows you, it's just not even these two.
There's no competition.
There's no competition compared to the last time they fought. They even got to a moment where they were saber to saber, just like Revenge of the Sith. I think I tweeted about this too. And Vader then winds up his Force push and just throws Obi-Wan like a ragdoll. Before, on Mustafar, Obi-Wan catches that.
Yeah.
They catch it, and it shows you they're equal. They're equal. They're equivalent. There's a reason that fight lasted so long on Mustafar is because their skill set was equal.
Yeah, they kept matching each other.
Here, they were intentionally showing you these same moves, not even close, no attempt to even try. Obi-Wan's trying to run away because he knows I'm just not in Force shape, basically, to even try this. I've been cut off from the Force intentionally. I've been training my mind for the last 10 years to suppress the Force and not use it, even when I need to. So now he's in these fights. He even did it against Reva and the Grand Inquisitor, where he pulled out his saber, thought about it, and thought, even though they already know he's a Jedi, they know he's Obi-Wan, he's not like hiding that fact anymore, and he still didn't use it at that time, and he did it again with Vader twice.
Yeah.
Didn't use it right away because he's thinking, I've been telling, he's going to have to reprogram his brain that he can use this stuff. He needs to start training. And I think this is all leading up to why they're teasing Qui-Gon, potentially, him reaching out, getting some lessons, but also realizing that Anakin's out here. His entire mission so far that we've seen in this episode is make him suffer. Intentionally lets him get away at the end because Vader believes that Obi-Wan is worse off. Not just me torturing him continuously. He tortures him here. But he lets him get away. He could easily have gone and gotten him and just tortured him daily. But he lets him get away because he believes, and I truly think Vader thinks that, or knows that it's more torturous for him to always be on the run, always be living in a galaxy where he's seeing the repercussions of how he treated Anakin, and Anakin being in control, and just seeing people die, seeing all this stuff, the aftermath of everything that happened between them two, and know that Obi-Wan, at any point, Anakin can just show up and just torture him. That, to me, is more evil than Obi-Wan, than Vader just going up and killing him and putting him out of his misery, basically.
Yeah, because he could have easily done that.
He could have easily done that, but he knows that he's just toying with him, and he doesn't care. He let him go.
He also, so there's some shots in this that are just unreal. It's just phenomenal. There's the great shot once Indira Varma's character, the Imperial, who we'll get to her in a moment, who ends up helping Obi-Wan. She's the one that they are there to meet. when she shoots the thing that reignites
Right.
the coals. When Vader's just staring across as the big, I forgot
Just
to write
lets him
down the
go.
droid. When the big droid comes to,
Oh, what's his name?
I forgot to write it down. There's the one thing I forgot
Yeah.
of. Indira Varma's character, by the way.
Yeah.
Her name was Tala. But when the big droid's coming in, is taking off. They're getting Obi-Wan out to safety a little bit, and Vader's just staring. The flames in his eyes.
Oh my gosh,
It was a constant throughout the whole episode. When they first
they had the flames actually there, then they zoom in on him and you see the flames.
We also had flames, the erupting erupting lava at Mustafar, which was very different than when we saw it in Rogue One. In Rogue One, it's a slow flowing lava, and this was the same landscaping. The landscaping of Mustafar. Whoever's trimming the hedges needs to be fired. But a similar shot coming up to Vader's castle, which was also awesome. I didn't know how much we would
Vader
get
actually
Mustafar.
on his throne.
On his throne,
Sick.
we get he had the cool hollow call with
Riva.
Then, but also we have the exploding lava. The raging fire that they show in his eyes. This is the reason all of this stuff is not by accident. Again, Deborah Chow is a fantastic filmmaker.
Right.
And the writers know what they're doing
symbolic.
as far as he is a volcanic eruption in a suit. Like he is volatile. He was about to erupt. The way he just is so much anger that controls him. And again, even though Palpatine has anger, all these if you go to the dark side, you've got some sort of anger. But it's different. A lot of it's greed or calculated. Anakin is this big ball of emotion that he cannot control.
Yeah.
And but I just love that from the beginning of the episode. One, they had the great shot of the back and forth between Obi-Wan, who's sitting there. The episode starts where he's on the transport ship, kind of like the cargo ship that they were on with Leia, and he's sitting there and he's going, Master Qui-Gon. He's trying to connect to him again. No answer.
They're teasing it.
And as he's saying that, it's cutting to Frankenstein's monster being put together.
I know.
But more than just the shots we got in the trailer of just like the arm. This was from behind and showing them dig into his it was like intentionally grotesque, and he looked like Freddy Krueger.
He's not just
Michael
machine.
Myers.
He's not just machine on his arms. There's literally machine in his chest. And
in his chest,
so
there's
that
stuff
he can
inserting and getting stuff in his neck.
Yeah.
And then obviously everything is just he's completely just he's more machine now than man, twisted and evil and disgusting to look at in a Bacta town. But I love they kept showing it and not cutting away from it. They easily could have given us what they gave us in the trailer of like, arm inserts, leg, and like that would be cool. But this was look at his back. That's just look at what he's
And how about the shot on Hayden Christensen's face as the helmet comes down?
Oh, it really reminded me of when you see the blank stare of Michael Myers or like a Jason. It really was Michael Myers of like this unstoppable force who walks pretty upright
and
but
not running
come down. You're just
know.
like, this looks like someone who's just a killing machine and that there's nothing good left in him.
And he's never in her. Here's the thing.
That's what's scary.
Here's the thing about the fights, too.
So scary. It's awesome.
I do think we'll get a more intense fight. Intentionally. Obi-Wan's going to either get some training or, with Qui-Gon or whatever to regain
Remind me,
that
I have
connection.
to say something regarding that after this.
Sure. To regain that connection with the Force so that he can be prepared next time he fights Vader. And I don't think it's just to fight Vader the next time as if like, I'm going to go seek him out and try and turn him or finally end this.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's going to be driven by Luke and Leia. Maybe even just Leia at this point, but both of them. Knowing he has to protect them, it's no longer just I got to be ready in case, Vader comes after me anymore. I don't think he cares about himself at all. Yeah. It's all about I need to be this is really what Anakin's become. He's become this strong, he's become this evil. I didn't realize it was this bad. Okay, I can't be cut off from the Force. I need to be prepared, unlike I was today in that fight. I need to be prepared because Leia is now being captured.
Yeah, I
which
can't,
he'll
I
find
can't
out.
defend against whatever that is.
Leia's not being
yeah.
captured. She could die. Luke could be in trouble. I need to be ready to defend them next time we're together to be able to get her back. If I'm defending Luke,
Yeah.
I need to be strong enough to defend them.
Yeah.
So we're going to see that. You have to set this stuff up so that the character of Obi-Wan can come to terms with, I've got to get back into it. Like, I can't just hide and live this life because that is not what will keep Luke and Leia safe.
Yeah. Can I also say on the point of whether or not, and anyone in the chat, if you're watching along, if you have, you can tell us what you thought of, what your expectations were for a Vader, Kenobi interaction. Or
that reminds
altercation.
me, real quick in chat.
Yeah.
We got Deli saying the neck snapping thing really freaked her out. My favorite part about the fight was when they zoomed out. Oh yeah,
that was really cool. I loved that shot in the distance where it's dark, like right over the hills, like amongst the rocks. Just the sabers are crossed.
The saber glow.
And stuff.
You said it earlier.
Awesome.
The saber glow got an upgrade for sure.
Yeah, but I agree. I agree with that comment for sure. Of that neck snap surprised me.
Oh yeah, I was like, oh.
It's which is also funny the way that we look at some of the animated shows. If that was something in Clone Wars, I'd been like, yeah, it makes sense. But seeing it live action, I think Clone
Wars, I'd be like, oh wow, that's dark.
Clone Wars just gets so dark. I love it.
It does. It does.
Which, by the way, this is a side note, quick little tangent, but I saw it was going around that some people were saying that the Skeleton Crew show, that one of the quotes that was coming out, we talked about a little bit of this is definitely a tangent, but this reminded me of this. We were talking about how people have been comparing it to like a Stranger Things style vibe of like has children in it as far as a young cast, but is not a kid's show. And then that was followed up with a quote that said, "Think Clone Wars." That's what they kept saying. So they're like, think Clone Wars as far as that.
It's not a kid's show. It's deep thinking and
it's dark. Clone Wars. They're
Clone Wars gets real dark.
Could we cut away from this, or should we?
Obi-Wan
should we behead this person?
Maul
Yeah, we'll behead
stabbing
this person.
through Satine on camera.
Oh yeah, on camera. I love it. It's all animated.
It's
the
animated.
cameraman
On
caught
camera.
it. Cameraman's like, keep rolling.
On camera. No, you're next guy.
You're next guy. Shaky drops the camera.
Oh man, but yeah, Vader, Obi-Wan.
Vader, the neck snap. That surprised me. I was like,
surprised me too.
Gosh, he's
and the drag.
He's ruthless.
Honestly, both.
I loved it, and even the way gosh, it was like sad seeing the current lack of in shapeness of Obi-Wan when he's lifting him and he's like
dropping.
Shaking,
it reminded me of
but he's like
Snoke and Rey.
Yeah, it was like there's nothing she can do.
There's nothing, or no, I mean, sorry, not Snoke. Of Palpatine and Rey.
Well, Snoke is the one
too.
who did,
Well, that's Snoke too. But I specifically
that.
meant the time where Rey drops her lightsaber and stuff because Palpatine's just like forcing her. But yeah, I mean, same thing.
Where I was going with that, I almost lost my train of thought of what I expected coming into the show. What's interesting is, especially if there's anyone that, again, people can have their own opinions of what they expect as far as a rematch between Obi-Wan and Anakin.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough,
which I don't think that's come yet.
No,
like the rematch. Right
no, but also interestingly enough, and this maybe you feel differently. When I first heard those lines of Kathleen Kennedy of like, oh, the rematch of the century, seeing them fight again, all this, and then finding out it's set 10 years later, it's actually closer to A New Hope than it is to Revenge of the Sith. My initial thought was, interesting, so they'll fight again, but it's not going to be anything close. It's not going to be anything like the Mustafar fight.
Yeah.
And I thought, nor do they have to top that. Like, it doesn't need to be the most acrobatic fight of all time. It just needs to have emotional weight. The way that
there's a reason Mustafar was what it was. That was supposed to be they're younger.
But in the way that Obi-Wan versus Maul in Rebels is a completely different fight.
Yep.
I actually thought, this will probably be closer to that than it is to this. So what's interesting is when I saw the fight that we got last night, as far as their first interaction, I both simultaneously believe both of these things to be true. I believe that is not the big altercation they're talking about, as far as like that's the last time they'll see each other until A New Hope. I don't believe it. But also what I got was more than I even thought.
Yeah.
So like both those things, I do think more is coming, but also what we got, I wasn't like, dang, nothing happened. I was like, what? There again, I know the actual saber fighting part didn't last super long, but I did not expect, and again, I still think we're probably going to get it. I didn't expect this is going to be Vader and Obi-Wan's going to be doing backflips and this and that.
I was expecting more Luke and Vader-esque fighting.
Yeah, I expected it to
be
be
but skilled, tactical, reading each other's moves, things like that. Plus, you got to remember, Vader's not Anakin anymore.
No,
Vader's
Vader's not doing. He's doing backflips and all that stuff.
You're not going to see Vader.
Yeah,
do a
he's
bunch
a
of
completely
backflips
different style of fighting too. The one-handed style is the Vader thing. You don't see him going like doing the Anakin spin.
Right. I love that they had him going with the one saber, just pounding it on.
That's
Kenobi
him.
While
That's
he's
him
down.
now.
Yeah.
So all that to say, if anyone is worried of like, oh, I thought we were going to get more, this is only part 3.
I wasn't even expecting that.
I wasn't expecting this to come at all right now. I didn't expect there to be an altercation before the altercation. And again, maybe this is it. And if it is, I'm sure that whatever's remaining left in this story of these 3 parts is going to be incredible. Well, he's going to have to
go back for Leia.
But I believe that there's more coming there as far as even just saber on saber fighting, because intentionally they showed that Obi-Wan was not ready for this one.
Yeah.
So I do think he comes back more ready,
stronger.
like you were talking about. And I think because of that, Vader shows off more of what he can really do.
Yeah,
because
I agree.
Everyone's talked about how this is the most powerful Vader we've ever seen. He was super powerful in what we just saw out in the in the street, but he also had no resistance. So it wasn't like he.
No.
I mean, like any dark Jedi.
It was just showing. That showed
his evil, his ruthlessness. Yeah.
Any of the Inquisitors could have done the same thing, but he's just.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Dilly and Jets, can we just talk about how freaking awesome young Leia is? I honestly have to say that she's one of my favorite parts of the whole series so far. I honestly agree. Even every episode, she's gotten better and better. Today's episode, where they're on the transport.
On Freck's transport? My new favorite character in Star Wars, by the way. I love Freck.
And when they're in the hideout, her acting was
so
her
good
delivery on her line is unbelievable. I am extremely impressed.
You can tell the people what was I doing right before we just went on the air right now when we were sitting here, and I said we can't wait. I said we can't start yet, and you said
you want to know why we started a couple minutes late?
We have a start time. What am I doing here?
Was watching. I gotta go to see Freck's transport. I gotta watch that scene.
but specifically I could watch Freck for days, but intentionally Star Freck, yeah, we're Freckies. I'm Freck. Live long and prosper. The scenes, the dialogue between Obi-Wan and Leia. Come aboard. Oh, it's always nice to meet like-minded folk.
Like-minded, yeah. No, he was great.
Voiced by Zach Braff, by the way.
Also like how slow he went down.
Yeah. I was so glad they didn't kill Freck, though. No. I love Freck.
I want a Freck Funko Pop.
I'm not kidding. So we'll go back to Leia in a second. But people might think I'm joking about Freck. When I was watching, there's times even in Book of Boba Fett, there are times in Mando, where there's so many great alien type creatures and different species in Star Wars. There are times when I'm like, oh, this one feels a little too hokey, or a little like it kind of takes you out of the scene a little bit. Or I mean, it even took an adjustment for me the first time I watched the first episode of Mando, and I really liked what's his name, the Mythrol, but there were some jokes and stuff that I was like, okay, I just have to kind of accept it first. So like, it took me. Now I love even all of his scenes, but it was like, oh, this kind of feels a little more like real world jokey, like almost like, oh, I wonder how much I like this.
Agreed.
Freck, I didn't feel like that at all.
I didn't feel like that either.
I saw some. I saw just not like a bunch of people, but I saw some people.
I didn't feel like that either.
He's got his opening. Well, hello, friend. I'm Freck. Oh, you and your father are from Tall? Good. When she says, we love the Empire. Well, it's nice to meet like-minded folk. Oh, gosh. I'm going to look up all Freck quotes.
Oh, man.
There's Freck Ever After. There's Freck and Donkey.
Freck the Third.
Uh, oh my gosh.
No, but Leia, honestly,
the Leia stuff on Freck's transport, her acting
her acting's
was
phenomenal.
so dang good. To me, and I already
The
was
first
completely sold on.
opening scene where she's
Oh, yeah.
asking about.
I was already completely sold when they're talking about the Force.
Yeah, how's
And
it work?
She's saying, "How's
He goes, "That's
don't
not
you
how it
think?"
works.
She's like, Are we almost there?" And he's like, "It's a transporter, or a cargo
Can
ship.
you
I
use
don't
the
have,
Force?"
I can't control it." And she's like, "Couldn't you use the Force and make it go faster?" He's like, "It's not how it
That's not how
works."
it works. Well, how does it
How
work?
does it work?
You ever
Do
been
you
in a
ever-
dark?
Yeah, you ever
dark
been
room and
afraid of
Turn the light on.
You turn the light on. I suppose it's like that. You're like,
That's
"Oh,
so
that's
great.
so great."
It's such a great
love it.
line. Such a
And then
great
the
line.
stuff on Freck's transport ship,
Dude, how sad.
his little truck.
Can we?
But they're talking about her mom.
How sad
when
it
she
was
said,
when
"Are
she
you my
says,
real
"Are you my-
dad?"
Are you my real
And
dad?
I said, "Sadly, I wish I could say I was."
Man,
But because he's like, "You know what a real dad is? Your real dad's Frankenstein's
your real
monster."
dad's Frankenstein, and I killed him.
Although I guess he had not seen Frankenstein yet.
That's
He had-
true.
it was Frankenstein's
Man,
monster.
that's so
Yeah.
sad.
But her face, her acting when her emotion, we've been
Oh.
big fans of her throughout. I think this is by far her best she's been.
Oh yeah,
was this episode.
Speaking of her face
It's
and her acting,
arguably that stuff was as good as the Vader stuff. if
Yeah,
not better. That's
I
some of my
agree.
favorite stuff of the whole
speaking
episode.
of her face and her acting, it is so obvious they're clearly trying to show her Force sensitivity.
Yeah, they definitely are.
They're definitely, and she's doing a great job portraying it by her face, her look, by looking at Obi-Wan and
She's
and
intuitive.
recognizing
She's asking
you
stuff
knew
about him.
you knew my didn't
You knew
ask
my
a
mother?
question. She answered it.
And Obi-Wan.
She didn't ask a question. She said,
Yeah.
"You knew my father.
You
or
knew my-
you knew
you
my
knew my
mother.
real mother,
You knew
didn't
my
you?"
real mother."
It's just a story, Leia.
Yeah.
He tried to play it off. It's just a story,
Yeah.
Leia. And then she starts asking, "Are you my real father?"
Man.
So,
Yeah,
I
definitely
wish- I
showing
wish I could
her
say I was.
Leia intuition,
Ah.
Force intuition.
There's so many.
So
I
great.
wrote. I even wrote down a couple of things about that.
So good.
There's a couple of.
There's
quotes,
another character
but-
I want to get to whenever we're ready.
Yeah, yeah. Real quick though, when they're talking about, so leading into Freck's, this is all about Freck. But leading into
This
Freck's
guy's all up on
transport,
Freck. He was in it for 3 seconds.
his little pickup truck or whatever he's got. But I also he's like, Freck, what Freck, what's going on up there? "Oh, I know these guys. We'll be okay.
We'll be right along.
We'll be right
long.
This guy was so great. I'm telling you, I could not be a bigger Freck fan.
Won't be
It
long.
won't be long.
But 2 minutes later, he's getting scanned and killed all of them.
Well, also he then turns him over. "I had some interesting folk. I thought you might want to check out." Like, Freck, you dog.
Rexa, he's a part squid,
He's a
part
mole.
cowboy.
He's a mole.
He's
He's a literal mole. He looks
He
like
is
a
a mole.
little rodent. Oh gosh. But his I was gonna say leading into that, they've for now 2 episodes, especially the last 2 episodes, we've been getting these comments from Leia, who, while she hasn't experienced nearly as much as the galaxy or the heartache and heartbreak of, she's just been on Alderaan for so long. Not saying that her upbringing is necessarily easy. It has different challenges. But when she says to Obi-Wan, like, "Is it that hard?" She said in last episode, "Is it that hard for you to believe you actually have friends?" Because he doesn't trust anybody.
Yeah, he doesn't.
He then
And what happened in this
he had
episode?
some, that's what I'm saying. He had some frustration when they
She
got
trusted
to
that, well, maybe they're just late.
Mapuzo. Got to
Mapuzo.
Mapuzo.
Maybe
the
they're just
mining
late.
System.
He said,
Not all at first. People
not
are
all
not,
people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People are not all good, Leia. And
And he was
gets really-
mad.
and he's like, "Oh, I
People
knew
are not
we
all
shouldn't
good,
have trusted
Leia.
him," and immediately is upset. And he's like,
No one is coming, Leia.
no one is coming, Leia." And I knew it was a lie,
Dude,
I
how
knew we
about
shouldn't have
seeing
trusted. No one is
Anakin
coming.
in the dunes?
That is so cool.
actually Hayden Christensen.
robed Anakin.
Robed Anakin looking back, which is funny because he hadn't seen Vader yet.
No, and
So
also
that must have been him what would have happened if Vader or if Obi-Wan, like he's picturing what it will be like because at the beginning he says he's coming, Master.
he
He's
does-
talking to Qui-Gon.
that's it,
He said he's coming, Master. He could
Master.
tell that that Anakin's coming
He's
after him,
Master.
but he didn't envision Vader.
No, how
he
could you?
envisioned no, how could
Yeah.
you? Right. But he envisioned. I
Anakin.
love that the vision he sees is Anakin until he sees Vader later and realizes that
I'd
this
kill
is-
for that Anakin I saw on
I
the
know.
hillside. Yeah, that's
Man.
that. But yeah, it's interesting that Leia has this intuition and again this force sensitivity, force ability to read people, but also to connect with him and to see his flaws. And it's interesting that what happened in this episode is Tala, Indira Varma's character, for those people who have seen her in Game of Thrones and other things. I knew she was in this show. They showed her in the trailer. I forgot she was really in the show. I wasn't thinking about it. And I saw some people saying, "Oh, they could tell immediately when she showed up that she was going to be good."
Surprised she didn't stay Imperial. She's a great villain.
It surprised me big time. I didn't see her and was like, "Oh, she's the one they're meeting."
No, I thought
she shot
she's
them.
Bad.
And I go, "Oh, she's good." I always just expect her to be bad because I've seen her in more kind of bad.
But as soon as she turned and changed, I was like, "Oh, she's great."
Yeah, she was great. She was super helpful.
Yeah.
I liked it. But
Quinlan. Safe
little
house.
Quinlan mention
the path.
How about the way he goes?
They call it the path.
He goes Quinlan. He loved
Quinlan. I love it. So that's confirmation. Quinlan Vos is alive and out there. She even said, not only is he not the only Jedi that's come by, but speaking on Quinlan, she specifically said, "Oh yeah, he's come through multiple times and helped people."
Yeah, which
is interesting because I'll have to go back to the timeline, but I know he goes bad. He goes bad and comes back. So
it's a
little
iffy. It's a little iffy.
Yeah.
Some other stuff. So because Obi-Wan is so frustrated, he leaves, and they miss her because when she gets there, she goes, "I went to the drop point to meet you guys, and no one showed up."
Yeah.
And Leia, that doesn't cut to Leia. I don't remember her giving a reaction. But Leia the whole time is like, we need to wait. We need to wait for someone. No one's coming. I knew they were lying. No one. He's
never
just frustrated.
him.
And all the stuff he goes through the rest of the episode, including even fighting Vader and being dragged through the flames.
Losing Leia. Leia getting captured.
Is because he didn't trust Leia right then. He didn't trust anybody. So that's interesting. The way they tied that together was great. Some Inquisitor stuff. Some great Inquisitor stuff.
I want to dive in specifically.
Inquisitorius.
Riva.
So we get some Inquisitorius this time. We get before that, you get the Riva FaceTiming Vader, and I love it.
FaceTime?
It's quick, but she's clearly like blamed Obi-Wan for Grand Inquisitor's death. Yeah. She says like, "Oh, I'll get revenge for the Grand Inquisitor," and he goes, "The Grand Inquisitor means nothing. Kenobi is the only thing that matters now." And she's like, "Oh, I guess I'm off the hook."
Right.
She's like, "I murdered him, and nobody cares."
Nobody cared. Yeah. Murdered, quote unquote.
I literally, exactly. Yeah. He's gonna be back, but the exact quote: "The Grand Inquisitor means nothing. Kenobi is all that matters now. Is that understood?" And she just like nods.
Yeah.
She's like,
also like how she she flexes. I just spoke to Vader. You spoke to him yourself.
You spoke to him directly to yourself. Third sister. His voice is great.
His voice is great. I'm loving Fifth Brother.
He's awesome.
Speaking of Fifth Brother,
that's Han from Fast and Furious.
Really?
Yeah, that's who plays him.
Oh yeah, it is. You can tell. Looks like.
But he's great.
Yeah,
it's
great.
Be careful, third sister. Like those two are there. By the way, is it second sister? Who's the other sister who's hanging around right now?
Not second sister. Second sister's from.
But have they said her name yet?
They haven't said her name.
She's just kind of chilling.
We don't know what
her
power. Here's the thing about Riva though, and this is what I want to dive into.
Oh well, let's.
I think they're setting us up that she is out to be next to Vader. I don't think that's her intention.
Well, because now it sounds like Vader. We thought that she was secret. We guessed last episode
that she
was kind of his
on
right
the
hand.
ends with Vader, which clearly she wasn't, because that was the first time she talked to him, I guess.
Well, he says, "I've been watching you, and I know what you seek." So it wasn't like, "Hey, you know what I've been promising you?" It was like, "You know what? I know what you seek." And then talks about how she wants a Grand Inquisitor. And then he
seeking to become and then she says,
Inquisitor.
"You'll become Grand Inquisitor if you do this. If you don't, you'll die." Is what he said. So my guess is Fifth Brother went and talked to him now and told him the news, and he was pleased. Probably said the exact same thing.
Vader's going to soon be like, "Quit showing up and talking to me directly."
Yeah, exactly. But here's the thing. I think Vader's wrong. I don't think that's
Take
actually...
that back. Don't make me destroy you.
I think Vader is wrong. I don't think that's actually what Reva's after.
That'd be great to watch that back later.
That would be great. That'll be it. We'll clip it. I don't think that's what she's after. I think that's a stepping stone to get what she wants.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think her grand scheme is to try and become the Grand Inquisitor and be, you know, quote unquote, next to Vader, next in line, whatever. I don't think that's the case. Because Fifth Brother, they did it in the last episode when he said, "Why are you so fixated on Kenobi?" She said, "So I can get what I'm owed." Then on this one, he says, "I will get what I'm owed, and you will too." And she, after he leaves, she mutters under her breath and says, "I hope so." And then says it again, "I really hope so." Or "I truly hope so," something like that. So it made me think what she actually wants, because she said it under her breath, is not what they think she wants.
Mm-hmm.
She's out for something else. My guess
Ooh.
is that because...
Is this a Kenobi could have happened?
This is a Kenobi could it happen. My last clue before I tell you what I'm thinking is...
You're giving me clues of I'm guessing?
She looks at the path, the hideout.
Mm-hmm.
She sees the Jedi, logo.
Yeah.
Jedi Resistance logo, right? And she reaches out to almost touch it. And when you look at her face, she's not angry at this point. She's like looking at it, thinking. Then she turns and gets angry and throws the stuff, tosses stuff aside. They're very intentional, obviously, with every single shot, every angle, facial expressions, everything. I'm guessing she, to this day, is so bitter. So let's just go on this theory that she is a Padawan from the temple.
From the temple. She was one of those.
She was one of the Padawans we saw in the opening scene. Anakin, Vader, whatever. Mauls down everybody, gives everybody a chance to join. Say her friends, whatever. They get mauled down. They don't join. She realizes the only way I'm going to survive is if I just join. Otherwise, I'm dead. I think she's evil, obviously. She's Inquisitor. She's not afraid to slice people's hands off and kill them. So I do think she's evil and she's bad, but I think I think she's more like Darth Maul. Maul is evil to his core, but his mission becomes to take down the Sith. I think she's mad at Vader. She's mad what happened at the Jedi Temple because she lost so many people. She ruined, her life essentially is ruined as well. All the Inquisitors' lives are ruined. They're all now forced to do Vader's bidding. So even though, their life has become, who's going to rank up next just to die, just to get betrayed.
Yeah.
So I think, she's evil. She's obviously mad and has succumbed to the dark side, but her ultimate goal is to try and get as close to Vader as possible to try to either take him out and become an apprentice to Palpatine, or just to simply get revenge on the whole Order 66 thing. I think there's more to her, which will ultimately lead to her death.
Good luck trying to go after Vader.
That's why I think she's going to die.
Do you know why?
Because he's Vader.
Because he's in the later movies.
Because
I know you don't. I know you
I've
don't
seen the
succeed.
future.
I've seen.
And you're not in it.
That's not Will Forte. That's because I've seen the flippin' future.
I've seen the flippin' future, and you're not in it.
I've seen the flippin' future, Reva, and what are you gonna do about it?
But I think
yes.
I think there's a chance.
Okay.
Because they keep hinting at the fact that
I think she's
got
up to something.
She's up to something. She wants what she
something.
thinks is owed.
Yeah.
Which is yet to be announced.
No, I'm with you. I think there's a lot. By the way, I saw this picture going around from this episode of a screenshot. Did you see any of the background stuff that's going on in the Inquisitorius? About in that main chamber where you have the big where they're all seated. In the background, people zoomed in, rows of sabers, bunch of different saber hilts, and a couple of youngling helmets sitting up there on the back.
Are you serious?
Yep. And people were saying, the people that were saying was that there's like trophies. Some people were saying
so
like,
Vader just mauled down
that,
everybody and just collected them?
A ton of, now.
Or is that?
Or is it theirs? Or is it like this is...
Or
this
is it a warning? Is it Vader's also... It's
so this is why they're sitting there, though.
Here it's a trophy, but this is also a reminder that these were your classmates.
Could
you
be.
betray me,
Your saber
Could
is
be.
going right on the
You'll,
wall.
I'll have to show you the picture after this.
Man.
Couple of helmets, just a couple, maybe 20 sabers sitting there, all next to each other. That's great on the audio. I'm laying out the sabers, but on both sides of the room, it shows that there someone zoomed in and saw it.
Oh,
and
yeah,
it's
I'll have to
very
see that.
it looks cool. Yeah, I am both. I can't believe we're already halfway done with the show, but I also
don't
can't.
remind me.
But I also, now that I've already seen some of Vader and Obi-Wan going at it, I keep thinking, wow, we still have half the show left. Like in a positive way of like that feels like we have a ton left still. Now only 3 episodes left. That is sad. But the fact that we've already seen some of Vader and Obi-Wan, and now like what is going to happen moving forward? Gosh, there's just so when you're looking at some of the things that happened in this episode, Leia's now taken again. But Reva has her.
Yeah.
She doesn't get to Vader with Leia, could she? There's no chance.
I don't know. I was thinking about that too because she was in front of Vader in A New Hope too, and he didn't sense the her being his daughter. So I don't know. I think it's possible, canon wise.
It's possible, I guess. Yeah. It just seems like, man.
I mean, it seems weird that they would try and do that again.
Yeah. Yeah.
That they would allow that to happen again, because kind of A New Hope, you can always write it off as they didn't really know the story at that point.
Don't take this as a negative at all, because it's not a negative. A lot less Luke than I thought was going to be.
Poor
Which was
Luke.
great.
They promoted
They cast a young Luke,
him
and he was like,
and
yeah.
promoted him and said he was great.
And do you know how long they said he
Not
filmed for? 5 seconds on set.
He did a
That's
pod
it.
race. He did a pod race,
He's
fake
doing-
pod race.
He's doing the
and then-
pod race whip over and over. Like, all right, that's it. That's a wrap on the.
That's a wrap.
on
Good
Luke.
job, Luke.
Leia. Your next 3 months are open, right?
And under wraps.
and a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
But gosh, I love this episode so much. This is, and again, the reason why I say that right now. So going into this episode, if I were to rank the 3 episodes so far, none of these episodes have I come even close to really anything but loving, but there's just different degrees. I would even say, like we've talked about, there are some episodes of Book of Boba Fett that I'm like, oh, I love parts of this episode, but this wasn't my favorite episode.
Yeah.
I don't think we've had a single, in my opinion, other people can disagree. My feeling towards the 3 episodes we've had of this is I haven't had a single episode like that.
No.
Like that I'm like, oh, I have mixed feelings. Not even close.
No.
I will say that of
Is it
the 3
perfect?
episodes, no. I
no
mean,
show's perfect. No movie's perfect.
do some guys trip over some branches a little?
I get
easily.
it. Was the
Yes.
Leia running scene?
I will
not my
say
favorite.
which
I'll
led.
be honest. Before
I liked that
anybody
scene.
even,
I did like that scene though.
I like the scene.
I just think it went on a bit long, or that they could have choreographed it in a way
I thought
that
yeah, exactly.
I saw.
The
I did
choreography
see
was not the best.
I saw a funny video or a funny tweet. I can't remember who it was. Those are funny
Oh.
too. But I saw a guy who was talking about like.
But I don't care. I don't.
No,
let it
I don't care
bother
at
me
all.
It
Does-
is
no,
what it
I
is.
I even love that scene because I think that what's at the heart of it is like it's hard to
Leia.
catch her in her land too. Like these are her woods. This is where she climbs every day.
Yeah.
She knows every little. crane.
Honestly,
but it
there's-
was funny seeing these
Although
like
it was
hulking guys
although it was
chasing after
weird
her.
and you can critique it, there was only one part where I thought, okay, that was even a little too far. Was when she slides under the branch,
Uh-huh.
but the branch not really low. It's still 5 feet off the ground.
Yeah,
The
it's-
adult runs up behind them. The bounty hunter could have just ducked under and kept going because. So tries to go around.
It was funny.
Immediately, I was like,
But
eh.
I know.
But it didn't bother
But
me.
I was gonna say there's one of the things I saw some video or there's someone talking about how he's like how he loved the episode, but that scene he was like, oh, I like the scene. I thought it was a little unrealistic. He's like, it was like some guy who was like, I currently have a 10-year-old child and have an older child too who was 10 not too long ago. And I used to chase them around and we would have fun. And like the only way they ever got away is because I obviously let them. it was like when I would try for 5 seconds, I'd catch them. Like, It was like they're so small, they're tiny legs. They'd be like, oh, and then they'd start to get away. And I go, okay, I just grab
Okay.
him. he's like they couldn't he's
Yeah.
like
A little
so their only
unrealistic.
critique was that there was too much straight line running. That whenever there's a straight line run, an adult's gonna catch a 10-year-old in 5 seconds.
Yeah.
But again, that's a small little thing that it didn't even bother me in the slightest.
no,
I just
it's
thought like,
like a-
oh, that's something some people might point out. Like
Yeah.
it was something that when I watched that, I thought,
It
oh,
crossed
some
my
people
mind
might
when it
point out.
happened. I didn't
Yeah.
wait and see other people.
Didn't
talk
bother
about
me
it
at all,
as
but I
soon as
thought
saw it.
I thought there's sometimes when you're watching a show that go, what? I wonder what people are going to
react to that.
react to, and I thought, that might be one of the ones. But
Yeah.
I love everything that's going on with young Leia. I think the actress is phenomenal. I think this was her.
I think
I also want to
honestly
say
think
I think
Reva
this is
one of my
Reva's.
favorites.
This is Reva's strongest episode
The
too.
fact that people she's getting hate, which
was great.
We don't even have to talk about this very much. 'Cause
It's just ridiculous,
It's
yeah.
so ridiculous. It's not even.
Yeah.
I mean, not even worth mentioning very much. to be
As
honest.
if-
it's just
as
it's a joke.
if horrible quote unquote Star Wars fans haven't learned their lesson for what they did to Kelly Marie Tran.
So
Ahmed-
I don't know the
Ahmed
whole
Best.
cast of this show. Went,
You mean
went
all
into
the- yeah.
hiding? Literally went
Ahmed,
real life.
Ahmed
Luke,
Best, Jake Lloyd,
Hayden Christensen.
Christensen.
They all went. They all went.
Yeah.
They all went real life Luke Skywalker Last Jedi into hiding because of the hate, and then they're gonna come
Crazy.
out. It's just so dumb.
Yeah,
People are
just-
ridiculous.
yeah.
But anyway, I was gonna say, putting that aside, I actually, on the contrary, think she's one of my favorite things about the whole show.
I think she's
I
great.
think her character is great, and I love that they're highlighting how different she is than the other Inquisitors. She
Yeah,
obviously has
she's
something
supposed
going
to-
on,
She's
and
supposed to
she's
look like
actually-
she doesn't fit in with them.
but she actually, I think, lines up more with what I would imagine a dark side Force user would be. She's reckless.
Yeah.
She's emotional. She's greedy.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah.
honestly more weird, I think, that the other people, Fifth Brother, Grand Inquisitor, are more just in line taking orders, not pursuing things, being patient. Don't
Yeah.
do this. Don't rebel. Don't do that.
But it's
To me,
'cause
that
that's-
seems like,
that's 'cause
or
Vader's over you.
stop them from killing.
Vader
this-
will get you.
True, but I mean, even on Tatooine, where stop her from killing
Enough.
someone. Yeah.
Yeah.
To me, I'm like, that's
She's
if
the
anything,
ruthless
that's
one.
Weird.
It seems
She's
like
the
they
one
should
that
be
seems
more.
more like Vader. I
the
love her
Jedi
character.
cannot help what they are.
Yeah,
The compassion.
the
leaves-
Jedi are like an itch.
They cannot help it. I think the
They
Grand Inquisitor, by
cannot
the way,
help
is awesome.
Fantastic.
I
I
love-
want him back.
I was surprised we didn't get a glimpse of him in a back to tank or something.
Oh, that reminds me.
no mention of
That
him.
reminds me. That reminds me.
Oh, he's getting
Here we
louder.
go.
He's getting louder.
Obi-Wan
Familiar?
gets crispy, gets a little burnt, right?
Yeah.
Little sunburnt. Great reason for back the tank. Great reason for flashbacks.
You,
Where-
by the way,
Which is coming into.
I didn't think
wait
that
for
every
it.
time there was a back to
Wait
tank
for
they're gonna
it.
do flashbacks, but now they are.
Now they are. I think they're going back to tank. I think it's either going to be dreams or some sort of dreams or nightmare flashbacks, but maybe possibly some good ones thrown in there too. Because when you see him
Possibly some
having,
good ones.
when you see him thinking back to his trauma, you don't think about when you have these like a traumatic experience maybe like that. I can't imagine you're only thinking of the evil stuff that happens. The reason it hurts so much is because you remember the good and where it goes to, and
Well,
then it
his-
becomes evil.
What they've
So he
already shown his
sees
flashes
he
are
sees young
him
Anakin.
in a pod racer going, there's so many
Right.
of them. Are they all? Is this the planets?
Right,
Yeah,
so he's
this whole thing.
remembering the
Yeah.
good and equating it to what happened.
Yeah.
I think there's a chance we'll see some young, DH, Hayden Christensen, some good, but then some bad too. It's going to be a mix of that stuff, I think. And the back to tank, him being injured now is a perfect way to. I mean, they could have done it as a dream too, of
Well-
showing he's just traumatized. But being in the back to tank too, we've already seen become sort of a thing for Boba Fett too. So
Well, I think maybe this is a wild prediction. I think that this next episode they'll probably do like 5-ish minutes of him back to tank flashback, and the rest of it will be Mando. All Mando.
I think they're gonna
And-
make up for the Mando
Just kidding.
episode. Here's what's gonna happen. They're gonna make up for the Mando episode in Boba Fett, and now put Boba in Kenobi.
Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Oh gosh, we owe Boba Fett 2 episodes.
Hilarious. I would love to see some flashbacks. I can't believe there's only 2 episodes remaining.
3.
Yeah, I can't. But that's why I can't believe there's 2 because it's
Because
incorrect.
there's not.
There's 3. Can't believe there's 3.
No, I
said 2. I was even thinking of the number 3, and I read it as 2.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
saw 3, and it was like, is that 2? No, that's still
2.
3.
But no, I
Jeez.
think we'll maybe get some of that. My prediction before the show even started. I said,
Cloning. Oh,
That
I
too.
thought that's just always your prediction for everything.
I was gonna say.
Just kidding.
I was gonna say some of these flashbacks. Is it possible we get some
gosh.
Padme?
Oh, I was with you. I want
think
to see.
it's possible. I want to see some Hayden Christensen with some Padme and some flashbacks here.
Are we? I'm a little.
Give me Natalie Portman. I
are
know
we-
you're out there.
Listen. Of course, she's out there being jacked
I
for
know,
Thor.
she's jacked for Thor.
I want to see buff Padme.
It's a flashback, and you forget this moment. When did you lift?
It's Padme, and she's literally in the weight room, bench pressing. Anakin's like,
She's pregnant with
Sorry.
Leia. She's just jacked.
she's jacked.
No, but seriously, I think it's possible we get some flashbacks, Padme.
Do we think though? Now we're halfway through the show. Are we hedging our bets at all about? Do we think now that we've gotten Qui-Gon's happening?
Qui-Gon's happening. I will go as far to say
Is Palpatine not happening?
I think
There's only
Palpatine's
3 left. We haven't even gotten a mention of Palpatine.
I think the only way Palpatine's happening, it would be final episode. Somehow it ends with him talking to Palpatine about.
Wait a second. This I would love, how people are
I think we're more
understandably so.
likely-
People are worried about don't change stuff that makes it feel like canon's way different than
Yeah.
what we always envisioned. I'm imagining they're not going to do this. But what if they did the exact thing everyone feared and they just went all in? And like this final episode,
Shows
this final
Palpatine
episode,
dumping tubes,
no, this
dumping
final
tubes, and he's making snow.
this
already.
final episode is the final episode is
Palpatine's got a
Obi-Wan.
witch's brew.
This final episode, and this is a complete joke, but the final episode is Obi-Wan on Exegol with Palpatine and Vader. He's not only fought Vader before, but he's also fought Palpatine. And it's this big, evil, dark side, all the Sith, all this stuff. And obviously, I'm kidding. I'm saying that would be them going too far. But I'm trying to imagine. So do you think 50-50? Do you think if you had to say more than 50% chance that Palpatine is in these final 3 episodes, or that he's not a part of this?
I would
That
say
he's
less
maybe a
than-
part of Andor.
I say less than 50% Palpatine.
Could be
is
part
in
of
this.
Andor.
Could be part of Andor. I think less than 50%. I would say probably 40% though. Chance.
Actually, I'd
I
say
think
very
Qui-Gon-
likely he is in Andor because there's so much of the Senate stuff.
True.
With Mon Mothma and everything.
I think
people
Qui-Gon's
forget that
more-
he's the emperor.
I think Qui-Gon's more likely to.
Well, Qui-Gon I think is like a 99.
True. I
29.
do you think we'll only
Because they
get his
keep saying
voice?
Qui-Gon. No, I think we'll
I
see
think
him.
we'll see him.
I think
I
we'll
think
see
we'll
him.
see him too.
Uh,
Because they're teasing it so much.
I still think there's a chance.
What
we
about
get
this?
Palpatine. But
Here's-
I think
here's
it's,
one.
I think it's like
Here's one.
maybe a hollow thing or just a. I don't know.
For training, next episode, I think we're gonna see some healing for Obi-Wan and some training for Obi-Wan. Well, I don't know because he's got to get Leia back. He's not gonna wait.
Leia's gone again.
I think
We got her.
I think when the time comes,
Your question is,
he
what
must
is
be
Reva
trained. No, I think
Oh, and we talked about this.
When he
When the
has-
time comes, it must be
when he
trained.
has to get trained or something to go back to the Force or rekindle that connection, I guess. Is it possible we see Dagobah? Is he so desperate he reaches out to Yoda, and that's where he finally is able to communicate with Qui-Gon? Yoda helps him
Perhaps, although
because
he
he
said
says Yoda trained him.
to Tatooine to his family, and then he tells him, I have this. Do we think? Well, here's the thing: is our read by this? Do we think that he's been training for 10 years to talk to Qui-Gon and he's never talked to him?
That's what I'm saying.
Or do we feel like he's talked to him before? I feel like he's talked to him before.
I feel like maybe he's talked to him
Like,
before,
but he's not showing up now because he's
Yeah.
not because Obi-Wan's not going about it the right way. Does that make sense? Yeah, I think it makes sense.
Yeah, I was plugging in.
I know. I think my read on this, the way he's going, Master Qui-Gon, are you there, Master?
Yeah,
Makes
I think
it sound like it's not like, oh, I've been doing this for 10 years and I've never gotten a hold of you. It sounds like he did do that, and now Qui-Gon is not coming to him in his moment of need because he has lost his way as a Jedi.
Because he's
not going
diminishing
about it
his,
the right way. Well,
yeah.
he's not even just his ability to connect with the Force, but his mindset is
He's
not
not
in
there.
the right way. He's
Yeah.
not. Qui-Gon doesn't
Right.
just show up to help bail you out. He shows up when at the right time. When you need him, Force ghosts usually come, but it's not. But when you can do it on your own, like the Obi-Wan guides Luke, but turns off his
Doesn't
targeting
walk
computer
next to
and
him.
helps him
Yeah, he doesn't
with,
hold
with
hands.
telling him what to do. But it's essentially use the Force. You can do this. He doesn't go like,
I can do it
Luke,
for you.
close your eyes, I will take control, and just flying into the Death Star.
No, you're right.
Trench
I
run.
think.
So I don't
Yeah.
know. I think it's interesting because it's they've now brought up Qui-Gon multiple times. I would be shocked if we don't get at least a voice. Obviously, I think we'll get at least a voice.
I think we
Probably
get
even a
Qui-Gon. I
visual.
think we get D.H. Hayden.
You're
DH,
still
DH
thinking-
Padme. I think
You're still
we're getting
thinking Cal
Quinlan Voss.
Kestis.
I think we're getting Quinlan Voss. I think we're getting BD1, Cal Kestis. I think we're getting Jar Jar.
Jar Jar. I wish.
No, I think realistically, Qui-Gon's the most likely. And then they confirmed some de-aged stuff, right?
Star Wars has never confirmed it, but it was reported by like Hollywood Reporter, and these were
That there's
these
going to be some
reputable
de-aged
things that
stuff.
they're
So I think
supposed to be,
which makes sense for some flashbacks. So I think we'll get some D.H. Hayden and
Yeah. Well, and
Hopefully
what
Padme,
has
if
been
not,
confirmed
also
is
Ewan.
it's also come from a lot of quotes that Ewan McGregor has said that people are like, oh, it sounds like he's works with Hayden a lot because he talks about when
he
Hayden's
specifically
as
says
Anakin.
Yeah.
He's like, and he's dressed, and it feels like time. It feels like we haven't aged, or like it feels like no time has passed at all.
yeah.
He never worked with Anakin when Anakin was in the Vader suit, so it
Yeah.
would feel like a completely different experience.
Yeah. I think, yeah. We'll
So
get
yeah,
some
I do think
flashbacks
we'll
then.
get some of that.
Clone Wars. Do you think they'll be in their Clone Wars armor? Or do you think it'll be like we saw them in the movies, Revenge of the Sith?
I think it'll be
Deli
different.
said,
different.
"Are you for the flashbacks? Are they going to go original flashbacks, or will it be flashbacks from the movies, like clips from the movies?"
Oh,
I think
good question.
both. I think
I-
both. I
well,
think a mix of both.
I think is this gonna be new? I think if they show a flashback, it's to do new footage.
I
'Cause
think
they
so,
have-
but I
they've
think
already
some of
shown-
the traumatic stuff will
they've
be
already shown that,
flashbacks
though.
to.
They've already
True,
done
they've
that.
shown it, but the trauma, when they show trauma, someone has a nightmare, the next day they have the same nightmare, they'll show similar clips, the same clip. So I think
Oh,
we'll
true,
get some
yeah.
more of that, like him seeing some new original flashbacks, but then the traumatic stuff from Mustafar might be some of the same clips we already saw.
Yeah,
I don't think
It
it'll
would be
new.
cool.
I don't think it'll be new footage from Mustafar, put it that way.
I don't think they would necessarily do it because of Leia's gone right now. Leia's taken by Reva. I don't think they would take a full episode without giving us an update on that storyline. But it would be cool if they just had like a full episode. It's all flashback. It's just it's a whole
Ooh.
thing of what's going on during the flashback of the time, and it's somehow important to what's going on.
And it ends, and it's
Could-
him waking up in a back the tank.
It literally could be an episode focused on them, on those two, and then who comes across the screen is little child Reva, and then it follows her, and then it sees what happened during that time period. Why is this so important to her about who Obi-Wan is, finding Obi-Wan, this connection?
Yeah.
I don't know. Again, that's
I think
big
there's
stretch,
just-
but
I think there's more.
there's
to her
only
character.
three. There's only
There's more to
three
her
episodes
character.
remaining, so I don't know how much
Yeah.
they can dive into. I do think there's more to her character. I think they're going to get into that. But as far as introducing a Padme, not introducing Padme like we haven't seen her, but some of these things, it just feels like It feels like I don't know how much time we have left, even though we're halfway done.
Yeah,
There's
I
still a
know.
lot that's going to happen. We have like 2 hours plus of material
Yeah.
still left. I would love though to see episode 6, the final episode, be like an hour and a half long. I don't think it's going to happen, but it'd be great to get a
No.
full, at least
I've
a full
honestly
hour.
I thought each one of these would be about an hour. They're a little shorter, but
Yeah, this one was
about 45.
45.
One before was only like
The
35.
the first
40.
one was
First one was an hour.
the second one though was, I think it was like 40. First one was 50,
50
55 or something. The second one was like 42, I think is what it
Yeah.
was. And this one's like 46, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which, again, if you think about it though, That's still already 2 hours. We're over
Yeah.
We're over 2 hours of stuff already, and we're only halfway done, which is great. That's like, oh, do I want a 4-hour Obi-Wan movie or a 2-hour Obi-Wan movie?
Yeah,
I'd
well,
rather have
yeah.
4 hours.
Yeah,
So-
I mean, this is so.
As much as we're getting, like, there would be a lot less if this
Yeah.
was a film. This is just a movie.
So before we wrap up, what do you think for predictions? Obi could have happens. What is it?
Obi-Wan
Obi-Wan
happens.
happens.
Obi-Wan happen. Obi-Wanawanga.
Obi-Wan
I think that Freck is gonna say, "Oh, it was a good old buddy."
Kenobi Nobada.
I want to see the spin-off of Dexter, Jetster, and Freck. I want to see Freck come into Dex's diner,
Dex
and
and
Dex
Freck.
goes, "Well, they're them cloners." And all of a sudden he goes, "Why, I like talking to like-minded folk. The name's Freck." I just love Freck so much.
Yeah, I don't. I mean,
I don't know. That was supposed to be a prediction, so I predict Dexter, Jetster. No, I think. My
Dex.
prediction is just that I do think we're getting more Vader and Obi-Wan. I think that'll be the final episode,
But yeah, I agree.
and I think that
Which is why I don't necessarily know if we'll get Palpatine.
we do know that Obi-Wan recovers and regains his peak form because we've seen him in Rebels and the way he.
He
And again,
appears
even
in
though
Rebels is like the strongest we've ever seen him.
even though we don't get to see him doing a ton of crazy stuff with the Force, he's just a Jedi Master who is clearly outclassing
in
someone.
tune
And is completely,
And 100% in tune with the Force.
yeah, he doesn't look
Yeah.
rusty at all.
No,
So I do think that he
gets to that point.
he sharpens up on the skills. And yeah,
What about next episode specifically? Any
I
predictions?
don't know.
Do you think we see back to tank?
I think we could get a flashback next episode. Yeah.
Yeah, back to tank.
Yeah, he's got to heal. I mean,
Yeah, he does.
He's clearly burnt
He's clearly burnt.
pretty badly. So yeah, I think he'll be in some sort of back to tank for some part of the episode. Again, I don't think like half the episode is just gonna be us staring at the back to tank. That'll be funny though.
Right.
But yeah, I love that I don't even really know making predictions of what's coming.
I have no
because
idea. I think it's easier.
this episode threw me off so much in the best possible way
yeah.
that when he was feeling it, like when he was
think we
felt
get
Vader,
more
I
Reva.
went like, what?
Reva.
No, wait, he's not. And then they showed Vader. I go, now he's coming now already.
I think next episode could potentially be flashbacks and Reva history,
Mm-hmm.
both.
Yep.
Just because it seems like they led to this fight, this duel. Leia got recaptured, but there's almost like, okay, now we got to regroup. Like it's almost like a break, regroup, whether he's in the back of the tank or
Yeah.
what. It almost seems like there's got to be a time period for him to, I don't know. It seems like an opportunity for them to spend some time on, okay, this all led up to here, led up to we got some Vader Kenobi, and now we can, kind of go back to where we started with some of the maybe Jedi Temple flashback with Reva or even, more trauma thinking back on, Anakin and the Clone Wars.
Yeah. I like that. I could see that happening. They gotta get Leia back.
They got to get Leia back. I'm just trying to think of if they're going to do that stuff, when would it be? Probably when he's hurt, when he needs to have
Mhm.
time to rest, whether it's in back to tank or not.
Yeah.
They need to get Leia back, but him being injured is an opportunity for them to dive into that and spend a little more time because he's,
Yeah. Mhm.
yeah, you need to get Leia back, but you can't do it if you're, if you
He's
do
in the
it,
tank.
you're already dead
already hurt.
at your full strength right now. You don't
Do
stand
we
a
find
chance,
out next episode for sure whether or not the Grand Inquisitor is alive?
We might. They might show him.
Possibly.
They might show him in a
In a
back to
tank
tank
somewhere. Everyone's back to tank.
Everybody's back to
And
tank
he's
together.
dreaming of his days of being the temple guard. He's
True.
loving it. Birds are chirping.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could see it. I love it. Well,
There you have it.
we absolutely are loving this show. I know I am.
I mean, look at me. I came
Look at
as Obi-Wan.
Look what. Wait, no, not look what,
have
you become. It would be
What have you
what
become?
have you
What
become?
have you become?
I am
what
what
you
you
have
made
made
me.
me.
By the way, that's a small thing we forgot to mention. I don't know what they're doing with James Earl Jones' voice, but it sounds phenomenal. he doesn't sound as old as he did in Rebels.
He doesn't
and,
sound as old as
and
Rebels. In fact,
Rogue
in the
One.
credits, I don't know if this
It
was
says James Earl
intentional.
Jones.
I don't know if it was
and
intentional,
Hayden
but it
Christensen.
says, the voice. It says James Earl Jones, voice of Darth Vader, and Hayden Christensen. I don't know if they did that as like
I just think because they're both playing
because they're
Vader.
both playing him, or
But so I don't know if it's just his. It sounds like they maybe are doing his normal voice, and I don't know if they're
I do
doing
think
some
we
tweaking of
hear
some
Hayden's
technology
voice
stuff.
at some point.
That would be cool. I just don't know how that works,
I
though,
think-
because he can't breathe without the suit on, so he can't talk without his helmet on.
We don't know that though.
I mean, when he help me take this mask off. Then
That's
you'll
true,
die.
but that's also it's destroyed. But
true.
we
I mean,
also
but the whole
see him,
reason he
though-
wears the mask
That's
is
true. But in Empire,
I mean,
in
we see
in
him with
Empire,
it off
we
in
see
his
him-
pod. He can briefly.
but he's
have
not
it
in a
off.
bacta tank. He's in a pod, but it's an open pod. He's not in the
It's
bacta
his
tank. And
meditation
the helmet's
chamber.
coming
Yeah.
down. So he can
True, he can have it off. He can
have it off. I think
He just
to,
looks like
to
a
an
hideous
extent.
beast.
Yeah, so he can have it off, but I think it's maybe he can't breathe, but
Yeah.
he can have it off. I think for an
Yeah, I
extent,
think he
a
can
certain
have it,
period
yeah.
of time. I think part of what destroyed him in that moment was one, he got electrocuted. So everything we saw, his whole body is. It's not just that the mask thing broke and he can't breathe. It's the fact that he's
Yeah,
literally
he got electrocuted.
his insides are electrocuted and all the wiring inside his body is also destroyed from being electrocuted too. So that's why he can't breathe at all.
Mhm.
So, I thought they may have teased it in that moment when he said, "What have you become?" He might show. I think at some point he needs to see.
I keep thinking, what will you become?
I know.
Jin, did you come here to kill me?
No, I don't know. I just feel like at some point he needs to maybe see him again. And
Yeah.
just see
Boy.
his face.
I just don't know how it would go. How it would go down.
I don't know
Like,
how
would
it
he
would
see
either,
him and then
but-
take off his mask to talk to him or anything? I don't know how that would work.
I don't know how it would work either, but
Yeah, I can't
I
wait.
just think
I just want
it's,
to get more and more.
I
More
mean,
and more
even
Hayden.
even if he kept this part on, because they showed you it's two pieces.
His eyes.
Even if they kept the mouth part on, but show his face
Yeah.
to show him that this is I'm Frankenstein. I am Frankenstein.
Sorry, Master.
I'm sorry,
I am,
Master.
I am Frankenstein.
I am Frankenstein.
Frankenstein's monster. Dr. Frankenstein's actually a good guy.
That's true.
Misunderstood.
Vincent, what's
No.
up? Welcome. We're about to wrap up, but Vincent says, "What an epic series it has been, huh? Yeah, it's
Epic.
been crazy. For me personally, I hope we hear Anakin's voice at some point. I think we'll definitely hear his voice in some flashbacks for sure. I think we're getting guaranteed.
flashbacks. I think we are.
I guarantee it. Put it in the books. I think we're getting that.
What was that, Freck?
I think we're getting that. Whether we get his voice as kind of like what they did in Rebels, where it was a dubbed over Aunt James Earl
Ahsoka.
Jones. Yeah, Ahsoka. I don't know if we'll get that or not. Maybe.
What if during that moment? Ahsoka.
Sky Guy?
Sky Guy?
She called him Sky
Yeah, that
Guy
was
on
great.
stage. That was the first time they ever met.
What's up, Sky Guy?
That's great.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Nate,
Well,
where can the people find us?
there you have it. First, just want to say thanks for tuning in, everybody. We appreciate it. Please don't forget to like the video. It really helps us out.
It does.
helps the
Thank you.
channel. So
Yes.
please like the video. Subscribe if you're not already a subscriber. Join the Force family here at Star Wars Guys. And tell a friend about us. You know, if you like the podcast, the show, we've been trying to post a lot more just videos too, not just our weekly podcast episodes. Posting more videos, trailer reactions, thoughts, and things like that.
We just filmed a few things.
We filmed a few things that we're in the process of editing and posting. So if you like the shorts we're posting, all of it, please subscribe and tell a friend about us here at Star Wars Guys so we can join and grow the Force community, the Force family here at Star Wars Guys. So yeah, don't forget to like the video. We appreciate you all tuning in. If you want to, you can always message us. We love the engagement with you all. Message us and keep up with our updated news on Instagram at Star Wars Guys Pod. We post a lot of things when we're going to be going live, all that stuff on there. So we share a lot of content on there. So at Star Wars Guys Pod, you can always reach out to us, tell us your thoughts, whether it's questions, things. You know, it could be your theory. It could be a prediction.
We love
you
getting
have.
some good theories and questions.
Let us know your theory,
we'll discuss
your
it on the
prediction.
show
We'll
for
discuss
sure.
it. Yeah. Let us know your thoughts, what you like, maybe what you didn't like, and we can break it down or talk about it. Whatever it is, let us know, and we'll bring it up on the show. Thanks for the engagement in chat. We appreciate you all. We'll see you next time, and as always,
May the Force be with you.
The name's Freck. Love meeting like-minded folk. Freck. Ever after? What is there?